Deputy Gilmore, without interruption, please.
Taoiseach, you're a repeat offender on this issue. Last spring, when SR Technics was announced that it was closing down, there was a proposal from the staff of SR Technics at that time, put together a package which would keep aircraft maintenance and servicing going. I came in here to the House, I have it here on the 1st of April last, in which I put it to you that 900 of the jobs at SR Technics could have been saved if the government supported that proposal at the time, and I argued with you that that should be done. This is what you told me in reply, Taoiseach. You said the government will make every effort consistent with obtaining a viable proposal with the purpose of having an aircraft maintenance facility in Ireland. Now, what did you do? First of all, the DAA took away Hangar 6. This is the second time Hangar 6 has featured in this whole issue. They took back Hangar 6 from SRT at that time and undermined the possibility of the jobs being saved at that stage. Secondly, we now know that Ryanair had a proposal, and we've heard all this business about it was this problem with Hangar 6 and that problem with the DAA and correspondence between the IDA and the DAA and so on, all of which culminating with the Taoiseach as recently as yesterday saying she wasn't prepared to meet Ryanair or even pick up the phone to ring its chief executive until during the course of the day as a result of the publicity on it, she had to be embarrassed into it. This is the second time that you and your government and the Taoiseach have made a mess of the SR Technics situation and have sacrificed these jobs. These are no ordinary jobs. These are people who can read an aircraft maintenance manual, something that I doubt if any of us here in this House would make much sense of if it was put in front of us. When you talk about the knowledge economy, and we all talk grandiosely about the knowledge economy and knowledge jobs and new jobs and so on, this is what we're talking about. High-skilled people who can do a highly skilled job like maintain an aircraft, get it back in the air, get it serviced again. They're not jobs that appear every day of the week. And here in this country, we had assembled a group of people at Dublin Airport who were capable of doing that work. SRT moved their operation to Switzerland and those jobs were lost, but those people were still there, available to do the work, and all that had to be done was that a bit of leadership from your government, knocking heads together to make sure that these jobs weren't lost. What this whole story tells us, Taoiseach, is really what is at the heart of the problem with your government, and why you are now, and your government, is an obstacle to people keeping their jobs and people getting back to work. The fact of the matter is that you, your government, the Taoiseach, did little or nothing to save those jobs in the first place, and when a businessman comes along with a viable proposal to do it, all kinds of obstacles are put in their way, and you don't come round to addressing it until eventually the Taoiseach is embarrassed into it. My question to you is very simply this, Taoiseach. Do you stand over the handling of this issue by the Taoiseach? That's all gobbledygook. I mean, it is. It is gobbledygook. 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 You didn't understand the issue. Team Aer Lingus. Team Aer Lingus separated from Aer Lingus a long time ago and was then sold on to SR Technics, and to try and suggest now that somehow there is some kind of a property legacy that Aer Lingus has a hold on Hangar 6 is nonsense. The reality here, Taoiseach, the bottom line here is this. Is that almost 1,200 people lost their jobs from a business that was viable. Yes, there were issues that had to be addressed and overcome, and necessity to modernise it, and I think everybody accepted that at the time. This is a viable business, maintaining and servicing aircraft. We've lost it. You lost it last April, and you've had 10 months now to do all of the calm, rational talking about it that you're now offering to engage in at this stage, and it hasn't happened. The 1,200 people have lost their jobs. Secondly, You failed to support the proposal that was put forward by the staff last year, and to advance that and to bring it to a point. And in the withdrawing by the DAA of Hangar 6 at that time was a key factor in undermining that proposal at that stage, and you didn't step in and prevent that from happening at that time, or anybody in government didn't prevent that from happening. And then on top of that, you now have a new proposal, the Ryanair proposal. 200 of those jobs have already been allowed to slip through your fingers and are gone up to Glasgow. And by the looks of it, until yesterday, you were content enough to let the other 300 jobs slip through your fingers as well. So, Taoiseach, you know, you've made an unholy mess of this. These are jobs that should not be gone down the spout. These are the kind of jobs that can be retained here, and what has happened here is that your government and your ministers and your Taoiseach have made an absolute mess of this, and it would be better for you to at least acknowledge that and to move on from it. But to try and pretend that there are all kinds of complicated property arrangements that have somehow prevented you, you should be moving mountains to ensure that at a time of an unemployment crisis in this country, that perfectly viable jobs with a business proposal on 2 separate occasions being put forward to provide them and to save them should have had government support, rather than the kind of ham-fisted, negligent way in which it has been handled. And the people who are losing out on this at the end of the day are the people who are losing their jobs, and the people whose businesses are suffering as a result of the drop in income that is resulting from that level of job loss in North and West Dublin in particular.